There's a three-digit number that controls your life. It decides if you get a house, a car, an apartment, sometimes even a job. You'd think something that powerful must be ancient, carefully designed, tested for generations. It was invented in 1989. Your credit score is younger than the Game Boy, and the story of where it came from is much darker than you think. For most of history, borrowing money worked like this. You walked into a bank. A man in a suit looked at you. He looked at your clothes, your name, your neighborhood, your skin, and he decided on the spot if you deserved money. No formula, no number, just one man's opinion. If he liked you, you got the loan. If he didn't, you walked out with nothing, and there was no one to appeal to. Now, banks needed information to make these guesses, and that created one of the creepiest industries in American history. In 1899, two brothers in Atlanta founded a company called the Retail Credit Company. Their business was simple: collect information about people, everything, and sell it. They built files on millions of Americans, and these files didn't just track whether you paid your bills. They tracked your marriage, your drinking habits, your politics, your reputation with neighbors, even rumors about your private life. Insurance companies bought these files. Employers bought these files. A rumor from your neighbor could quietly destroy your financial future, and you would never know why. By the 1960s, the Retail Credit Company had files on the private lives of millions of people. Then Congress found out what was in them. The hearings were brutal. Lawmakers discovered that people were being denied insurance and jobs based on gossip, assumptions, and things that were simply false. There was no way to see your own file, no way to correct it. In 1970, Congress passed the Fair Credit Reporting Act to force these companies into the light. And the Retail Credit Company's name was so damaged, so toxic, that a few years later they did what companies do when their reputation dies. They changed their name. You know them today as Equifax. Yes, that Equifax. The same company that in 2017 leaked the personal data of 147 million people. The company that started by spying on your great-grandparents' private lives ended up losing half of America's identity in a single breach. But we're not done, because the score itself hadn't been invented yet. In 1956, an engineer named Bill Fair and a mathematician named Earl Isaac put in $400 each and started a company, Fair, Isaac and Company. Their idea replaced the banker's opinion with math. No more judging your handshake, just data. For decades, banks mostly ignored them. Then in February 1989, they launched something new, a single number between 300 and 850, one unified score that any lender could use. They called it the FICO score. That number now runs your life, and it's not even 40 years old. Here's when it took over everything. In 1995, the two giant agencies behind American mortgages, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, made a decision. From now on, lenders should use FICO scores for home loans. That was it. Game over. Within a few years, a number invented by two men from California became the gatekeeper for the biggest purchase of your life. Nobody voted on this. No law required it. A private formula owned by a private company quietly became the rulebook. And now here's the part nobody tells you. Your credit score doesn't measure what you think it measures. You'd assume it measures responsibility. It doesn't. It measures how profitable you are to lenders. Think about it. If you've never borrowed a cent, never owed anyone anything, paid cash your whole life, your score isn't perfect. You barely have one. The industry calls you credit invisible. Tens of millions of people are invisible to the system, not because they failed, but because they never got into debt. Pay off a loan early? That can lower your score. Close an old credit card you finally paid off? That can lower it too. The system doesn't reward you for avoiding debt. It rewards you for staying in debt, the right way, forever. So ask yourself something real. If the score measured responsibility, the person with zero debt would be the winner. Instead, they're invisible. The perfect customer isn't the person who never borrows. It's the person who borrows constantly and pays interest on time, for life. That's not a judge of character. That's a customer rating. A banker's glance, a file of gossip, a rebranded scandal, a private formula. That's the actual history of the number that decides what you're allowed to own. It was never about whether you're good with money. It was about whether you're good for business. And most people will spend their entire lives obeying a number that was invented after they were born.